What life was like for a Wild West sheriff. The sheriff's day began softly, with pale light touching the wooden street. Boots moved slowly across packed earth. A badge rested quietly on a worn coat. There was no rush, only the gentle habit of watching and listening. The town breathed in small sounds. A door creaked. A horse shifted its weight. The sheriff knew each face and each corner. His work was simple and steady. To stand, to notice, to keep calm order in a place that liked to drift. As the sun lowered, the town grew even quieter. Shadows stretched across the boardwalk. The sheriff sat near an open window, feeling the evening air. Paperwork waited, but there was no hurry. Thoughts moved like slow water. He remembered long walks, kind words, and moments of patience. Trouble was rare, and when it came, it was met with quiet firmness. Most nights were peaceful, just lantern light, distant footsteps, and the steady comfort of routine. When night fully arrived, the town rested. Stars watched from above. The sheriff made one last gentle walk. Doors were closed. Lamps dimmed. The world felt soft and still. He removed his hat and set it down. The badge caught a faint glow, then settled into shadow. Breathing slowed. Muscles loosened. Nothing needed doing now. The town was safe enough. The night was calm. Everything drifted into a deep, steady quiet, and the silence remained, warm and unbroken. The night continued to move slowly, like a careful breath. The sheriff sat alone at a small desk, lantern light resting softly on the wood. Outside, the town slept without worry. A gentle wind passed through empty streets. Curtains stirred. The sheriff listened more than he thought. Silence was familiar and kind. It wrapped around him like a blanket. Each moment felt unhurried. Time itself seemed to slow, as if it understood the peace of this hour. He thought about the land beyond the town. Open plains under starlight. Long roads that faded into darkness. His life was shaped by patience. Days passed one by one, calm and ordinary. He had learned to trust the quiet, to let problems settle on their own. Even his breathing followed the rhythm of the night. Slow in, slow out. Nothing pressed upon him. Nothing called his name. Near the edge of dawn, the sky held a deep, gentle blue. The sheriff leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. The chair creaked softly, then rested. The town remained still, safe, whole. The badge lay cool against his chest. Thoughts became lighter, softer, fewer. The night held everything in balance. There was no need to move, no need to think, only the calm presence of being there. As the darkness slowly thinned, and quiet peace lingered, unchanging and smooth, the early morning stayed hushed, as if the world was still dreaming. The sheriff rose slowly and stepped outside. The air felt cool and gentle on his skin. Wooden buildings rested in soft shadow. No voices stirred. No footsteps followed. He walked the familiar path without thought. Each step was easy. Each breath felt deep and calm. The town seemed to trust him, and he trusted the quiet in return. He paused near the edge of the street and looked up. The sky held faint light, not yet awake. A bird shifted somewhere far away. The sheriff folded his hands and waited. Waiting was something he knew well. Life had taught him patience. Not every moment needed action. Some moments only asked to be felt. The stillness settled inside him, slow and warm, like a steady heartbeat. As the light slowly grew, he returned indoors. The door closed with a soft sound. He sat down and let the silence remain. His eyes grew heavy, not from tiredness, but from peace. The badge rested quietly. The room held no demands, just air, wood, and calm. Thoughts thinned until they barely formed. Time stretched and softened. Everything felt complete as it was. And in that gentle stillness, the quiet stayed, long and smooth, fading into nothing at all. The town rested under a pale morning glow, still half asleep. The sheriff moved slowly, careful not to disturb the calm. A kettle warmed on the stove, its sound barely there. He sat and waited, hands resting easily in his lap. Outside, the street remained empty. The night had left behind a softness that lingered. Everything felt balanced. Nothing felt urgent. The quiet seemed to stretch and settle, like a gentle sigh across the land. He looked around the small room he knew so well. The chair by the wall, the desk smoothed by years of use. Each object felt familiar and kind. Memories passed through his mind without weight. Simple days, quiet evenings, long walks beneath wide skies. His life had never been loud. It moved slowly, like the turning of seasons. He welcomed that pace. It allowed thoughts to drift and fade, leaving only a sense of calm presence. As the morning light grew warmer, he remained still. Breathing stayed slow and even. The town would wake in its own time. There was no need to guide it. The sheriff closed his eyes, just for a moment. Muscles softened. The badge rested without shine. Sound faded into gentle distance. The room held him in steady peace. Nothing asked for attention. Nothing needed changing. The quiet deepened, smooth and wide, until it felt endless, carrying everything gently onward into calm, unbroken silence. The day slowly leaned back into evening, as if returning to rest. The sheriff moved gently through familiar rooms. Light from the window softened and faded. Dust rested quietly in the air. Outside, the town grew still once more. He hung his coat with care. The badge felt warm from the day. There was comfort in endings like this. Simple, unnoticed, calm. The world seemed to lower its voice all on its own. He sat and listened to the quiet settle. No clocks felt loud. No thoughts felt heavy. The past drifted by without weight. Long roads, silent stars, peaceful mornings and slower nights. His breathing stayed deep and steady. Each moment stretched softly. The room felt safe. The town felt distant but protected. Nothing pulled at him. Nothing waited urgently. Time moved like a slow river under moonlight. At last, he rested back and allowed stillness to hold everything. The room darkened. Sounds faded into gentle space. Thoughts thinned and softened. The badge lay still. The town slept. The night wrapped the land in calm shadow. There was nothing more to watch, nothing more to carry. Only quiet, steady peace remained, smooth and endless, drifting farther and farther, until the silence became complete. Good night.